Hey there, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Water Trio Astrology podcast. We're coming to you with all the insights and tidbits around the week beginning the 19th through to the 25th of August. So I'm here with my dear friends, Kelly and Alicia, and I'm Cass. And how are you girls? What's been going on? We've been talking a lot before we actually press record. So many giggles.
We've had such a long prep time today.
What happens when there's no pressure? It's tangent city.
Yes, oh my gosh, too funny. We have been talking for more than an hour. Usually we do like a bit of a chat, 15 minutes, maybe half an hour before we record a show, just to check in and see. But today we had varying things. We've had a relocation, we've discovered a fridge from the past, and many other crazy things that we'll be sure to share with you in the show today. How are you, Leish?
I'm all good, thank you. How are you, Cass?
Yeah, coming to you from my very Cancerian kitchen. There's been a bit of internet dramas here, so I needed to get nice and close to my modem, so I didn't sound like I was talking underwater. But apart from that, I'm doing really, really well. Loving life. More clarity since we connected last week with the full moon and Mercury leaving the shadow. So yeah, I've been really great. What about you, Leash? What's been happening in your world?
I don't know. Major to report, in amongst crazy family life, it feels like Groundhog Day, but not. I don't know. I'm happy for Virgo season. I'm happy.
What are you looking forward to about Virgo season, Leish?
Just to get a bit grounded again, but not Capricorn grounded.
Not like heavy melancholy grounded.
Yeah, and not Taurus, like fucking Uranus, Taurus grounded. Sorry.
We do use swear words. We'll put a rating on the show. That's okay.
Someone's not loving Uranus transits to her sun right now. So yes, just some nice earthy grounded, Virgo grounded. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, this is the week that it has all the Virgo that you might want arriving.
Yes.
We've got.
I don't think you get too much more than this, really, do you?
I mean, technically there is a day next week that will have a little bit more than what we have at the end of this week. But we are definitely, this is the week where the planets are on the move into Virgo. So
true. And what about you, Kel? What's happening in your world? Update us.
Oh, look, just playing the waiting game here. When will the furniture arrive? And really, your guess is as good as mine. I know we
should take bets.
Take bets. If anyone would like to run some horary questions on this. I mean, as an astrologer, when you're waiting for something to arrive, you often look, okay, there's this one aspect that could do it. So you wait for that to happen. And sometimes you get lucky and it's that one. Other times it's like, okay, it wasn't that. What's the next thing that could bring the arrival? And so we're in that stage now where we've passed the 2 or 3 things that I was hoping it would be. And now we're just waiting to see. Now we are recording this episode a little bit in advance. So fingers crossed that by the time people are listening, it just feels a bit temporary, just sort of stuck in limbo. But I have a feeling for me that all the Virgo planets, they're angular in my chart. So they'll all be moving into the 7th house. And that tends to be a more active, productive, get things done part of the chart. So a part of me is sort of wondering, worst case scenario, do we sort of have to wait until then? And if so, fair enough. I think I was saying to both of you before the show, if you've got to wait for something, you've got to wait for something. You just want to know that. It's when you think, is it coming today? Is it coming today? That's a bit of a stressful space. So we've just got enough information now to come out of that. It's probably not coming right now. So just make another 2-week plan type of thing. So I just feel like I'm like a life of logistics right now. So I don't really have anything exciting to report.
Yeah, just keeping those wheels turning, even though it may not be as fast as you would like them to be going right now.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think one thing I've really learned with this whole move process is how many familiar little routines and rituals that we each have every day that are like big touchstones that just we ground ourselves like for me, baking is such a big thing that I do. And I will bake a couple of times a week or for a few hours on a Sunday, because I really enjoy the creativity, the planning, but also like for me, I could be painting a picture for the amount of pleasure that I get out of baking. And so trying to bring some of those rituals back in, even while we're in this temporary state. And that's, I guess, a bit of a segue into the Virgo stuff this week. I mean, we do have Venus coming into Virgo Wednesday and the Sun into Virgo on Friday. So it's those little everyday regular things that can be grounding or nourishing in some way.
And also, I can imagine, you know, that baking that you do on a Sunday sets you up for the week ahead. So it's like when you know, this whole Virgo thing of when you've got the really good routines in place, it enables life, the wheels to be greased, you know, things go a lot easier. I know for me, you know, when I'm doing my regular fitness routine, my mental health is a lot better, you know, or when I'm eating well and I have everything prepped and I'm not doing the shopping every couple of nights, which, you know, having moved out here to the country, like we're a 40-minute drive, well, half an hour drive to the nearest decent supermarket. So I can't do what I used to do, which is just pop down to the shops when I'm out of something. So it's making sure I have a good shopping list each week and I go and do the shopping and, you know, and this is so Virgo, you know, to-do lists, getting things correct, you know, putting things in their place. Very
Virgo is
Virgo.
all about efficiency, isn't it? So the Virgo mindset is, I don't want to go to the shops 3 times a week when I could go once and get everything. And then you save the time, basically. I think we're going to see an explosion on social media of like batch cooking and food prep stuff, because I think that's very Virgo. Whether you do it on the weekend or you have one night during the week, you know, where you're making all the lunches or that sort of advanced prep where it's efficient and it makes it easier and less time consuming on the day. I think that's very Virgo. So we can all think about what we want to bring in on that front. What are your thoughts on Virgo generally, Cass?
Oh, I'm not, you know, I'm a bit of a fan of Virgo. I mean, I have it as an angular position too. It rules my 4th house, and it's the only area of my life I probably really do Virgo. It's always pretty pristine here. But I think I've actually gone through a bit of a pre-Virgo phase in my life. I might have mentioned on one of the other shows, you know, when Mercury retrograded back into Cancer, that I updated all my IT, I renovated my office, and I felt like I had to do all this pre-prep for when all these planets were in Virgo. It was just this intuitive thing. So, you know, I could then feel like I was grounded. I'd done the streamlining and, you know, the process, so I can really get that productivity around this next cycle. So, but Virgo overall, I really do enjoy it. I think what I notice around some people that I know who have, you know, Virgo moon or ascendant, what have you, is that they do have this like sneaky level of flexibility that sometimes you don't expect. So, you know, they are mutable after all. And so I do feel that you can have your plans, your structure, your processes in place, but they also are open to the change. And that's what I think is also something to keep in mind, is that it's great to have those structures and systems, but allow yourself that flexibility of room to move as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I think that always confuses people about Virgo, is that it is an earth sign, but it is also
Mutable,
you know, so it's flexible or malleable earth. So it's like, if there is a way to do something better, we will change the plan we have to improve the efficiency, to take less time to do the same kind of thing, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like for sorry.
Go
I was just thinking, for me, it's like, if I know I do the weekly shop and I have all the ingredients for different meals, it's like that gives me the flexibility during the week to cook whatever meal I want on whatever night, but I'm prepared for whatever I need in the first place. So the foundation's there, the structure's there, everything's there. So, you know, if my kids are demanding nachos on a Monday night, I know I can cook it, and then we can have our, you know, chicken noodle stir fry on Tuesday night. Mum life.
Yeah.
It's definitely your daily routine type of vibe for you in the 6th house there, you know, that
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
true.
being of service for your family and doing all that sort of stuff too. So yeah, it's definitely that Virgo focus. And it is a great, you know, as you said, Kel, like all the meal prep and healthy stuff too. But, you know, if you are wanting to sort of spring clean an area of your life, this is a really great time to do it. So whether it's your finances, perhaps, you know, going through, you know, streamlining things, or I like, you know, when there's kind of a vibe of efficiency coming through astrologically is, you know, where can you maybe shave some cream off the top and use it for a better thing. So at the moment, like my thing is I want to change internet companies, but I'm just waiting for some decent astrology to do that. I wanted to do it as a part of my upgrade here, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to push my luck. I thought getting a new computer was enough. But, you know, if it's your 10th house, like is there something you can maybe tweak with your resume, or you know, improve your performance in some way. So, you know, particularly with Mars in Virgo too, it's like, how can I perform better? How can I do better? How can I act better? And that sort of thing as well. So it's a really nice time to sort of fine tune, refine, perfect, you know, look to that Virgo house, because that is where all the action is this week for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And weeks to come too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's officially Virgo season as of Friday when the sun moves into Virgo. So that's going to be 4 weeks at least, but we do have Mars and Venus hanging around as well.
And then Mercury. And it's interesting, you know, this whole, and this will bring us into Mercury. I think you're talking about this, aren't you, Cass, with, you know, Mercury ruling all of this, and it's still in Leo. It adds a lot. It's like there is more action, there is more movement with this still, because the ruler's in the fire sign. So it's not, I don't know, it's I feel like it's like, how can we get down to the real nut of things, the core of things? You know, my Virgo, like the difference between my two children, you know, both have got mutable moons. One moon in Gemini, will not shut up, and the other will like give one word answers, the moon in Virgo. It's like, you know, why I always say 10 words when I can say one. That's that real kind of Virgo energy, the refinement and bringing things down to the core of things. So I feel like, you know, with that Mercury in Leo, it's even going to bring that down more, you know, because there's more fire, more action, or maybe not. I don't know.
There's a beautiful understated quality with Virgo as well. I remember when what's her name? Oh, it just escapes me now. Meghan Markle got married, and I remember our WhatsApp chat going, "Oh God, her dress is a bit boring." And then Kel's like, "Venus in Virgo," so there is this like really this really pared back, you know, sort of like a classic or timeless. Not like
elegant.
a liberal style. I don't know. I'm a little bit like reluctant to say elegance, because I think that's maybe a little bit more Libra territory. Yeah. But there is definitely, you know, the Virgo just has a simplicity to it, and that simplicity and the practicality. It's not into anything that's too tizzed up or overdone or what have you. So yeah, I do love that streamline, the efficiency, the practicality, and an understated type of style as well. So, you know, that whole less is more, you know, that old rule of getting dressed, like, you know, when it comes to jewelry, like take one thing off before you walk out the door is very kind of Virgo to me anyway. Yeah. So.
Or like Alessi, you know, Alessi, who do those beautiful designs, but they're the Italian company, homewares company, but they're always practical. So they look amazing, but they're very practical, like their juicer that looks like a big spider, but it's like the best juicer in the world. It's so efficient and the juice just comes out perfectly. So there's that kind of thing. It's refinement, and yet it works well too.
Yeah, being in my 4th house, you know, I've even trained my son, what does mummy not like? And he says, mess. So there is that. There is this definite, like, cleanliness is next to godliness, like in my world at least. It's like,
can you please train my daughter in that? Oh my God. Gemini is so not that.
You spill crumbs somewhere. What does mummy not like? So, yeah, so he gets it. So now it's just the follow through. So anyway, because I've relocated in order to, record this episode, where are we at with the aspects this week? So we've got the Virgo stuff happening.
Yeah, we need to talk about the one you were excited about, Kat. Mercury trine.
My excitement.
Yeah, midweek. Mercury.
Yeah, so we've got the Mercury trine Jupiter, 14 degrees across Leo and Sagittarius. So yeah, this is I think this is a beautiful aspect. It's this, the crescendo of the whole, month really of this like Leo Sag energy. And so, Mercury is the final planet to interact with Jupiter this month, in terms of those inner planets moving through. So it's almost like if you've got something to say it, like put it out there, speak it loud, speak it proud. And if you have, it's this confidence to give voice to something that maybe you've been holding back on, or not being confident about, or not feeling like you don't know enough, because there's this other side going on, as you mentioned, Lishi, with Virgo ruling, Mercury, at the moment, that interplay there. So there might be like, second guessing yourself, but an element of that, but I've got to say this thing anyway. And, got fire Mercury, fire Jupiter, performing that lovely trine. There's, two houses that are really connecting there for you, but there's definitely giving voice to your opinions, whether other people like it or not, giving voice to your ideas, your perspectives, and again, having that courage to do so, regardless of maybe a pushback or a kickback, that, that you might otherwise be a little bit fearful of or a bit shy around. So, I know myself, there's a few things I'm like waiting to get off my chest in my life. And, that those degrees actually interplay quite perfectly for me. So I'm just waiting for the time to be right. But how about you girls? Have you girls got, any thoughts on the Mercury Jupiter aspect?
Yeah, for me, it's that whole TED Talk idea. It's contagious ideas, inspired thinking, and then sharing that with others and passing it on. And in the, in that mercurial networking, then things get to grow and expand even bigger. So it's almost like a time to really be willing to kind of share with others and open up with others, and not just to speak out to them, but also to listen too. But definitely doing that mercurial. And, for me, that I think it'll be a great day to just be, absorbing as much as I can to kind of build on things myself and grow things within myself. So kind of go out there and search for people who may inspire me, so that my inspiration can then pass on to others. Exactly. So yeah, that's what it feels like for me.
Absorb that content that might inspire or uplift you, or have a positive message behind it. I guess with the Virgo on the other side, it might be, cutting out social media content perhaps that doesn't uplift or inspire you, do the streamlining process on the other end, for sure. How about you, Kel?
Yeah, look, I think this is definitely my peak of the aspect of the week. Mercury trine Jupiter happening on Wednesday. It's got such an uplifting quality, such a feeling of hope or potential or possibility. It does feel a lot like doing some planning. It feels like maybe booking travel or planning a holiday. But also the learning component. Mercury and Jupiter together both speak to wisdom and ideas and interaction. So whether you're studying as the student, or whether you're mentoring and teaching as the person sharing what you know, it feels like there's a generosity here, that you want to give whatever you have to give in a way that might uplift or inspire or guide others, but also allow the input and experience of others to guide you. So that generosity and that wisdom. I also think I always think when I see aspects like this, I'm like, when I was writing horoscopes, how would I have written this horoscope? And Mercury trine Jupiter, I would write, welcome or happy news arrives. And it's that idea of Mercury coming to Jupiter, Jupiter's coming off station, Jupiter's got a lot to give, and Mercury's picking up that positive message. You've been accepted, you've been approved, it's coming through, or it's on the way. here's the check you were waiting for, here's the job you were looking for. I don't
Here's
want
the home contents you've been waiting for.
home contents yet, or the apartment that you're looking for. I mean, it does feel like not everything, you don't get everything you want, but it's like one thing you've been really wanting. It's like the universe brings a little bit of a blessing or a lift or a positive development, if you like. So yeah, I think it's I'm really looking forward to it. And I think one of you said, you know, it's the last aspect that is going to be made to Jupiter in this current season. So it's like, let's take whatever we can out of Jupiter now. And Leash, your little tagline there of like the TED Talk, like contagious ideas, I think that's a beautiful way of just like summarizing this aspect. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Contagious ideas and good news week. I love it.
Good news week. Who doesn't want one of those?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We all like a bit of good news.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, there is that feeling this week in general of movement. I always find when we have a number of planets changing signs in pretty quick succession, there is this sense of like, right, we're finishing here. We might not be done, but we're finishing here because other things are starting to develop. And at the end of last week, we had Mars come into Virgo. This week, we've got Venus and the Sun. All the planets are moving out of a fixed sign, which tends to have consistency and stability, but also a little bit of a rigidity or a stuckness. And they're moving to a mutable sign, which is about movement and variety, and things just starting to be a little bit more like the soil's been tilled over. We can do more with what's here now because we're not trying to get into hard dirt.
Yeah, it always makes me think of a landslide. Virgo in the mutable earth. It's like, you know, it moves slowly, but it moves, and it's, you know, there's weight behind it. So it's like, yeah, we're going to go slowly, but we're going to keep going, and you know, and it can literally move mountains when it wants to.
Totally. What are you thinking, Cass?
Yeah, I agree with all your points. Like, I just think that it will be kind of like a nice way to finish off. We've kind of like got this interplay of still fiery action, but with grounded progress. Like, and that's sort of that lovely kind of crossover period. It's not kind of the stark realities, as you mentioned, Lishi, with the Capricorn side of things. It's not like the rigidness of Taurus. It's like, I don't want to budge. It's like, okay, we've got all this, like, you know, the first parts of August have been about like the hope or the enthusiasm or the inspiration and, you know, the big picture, the big ideas. And now with a bit of productivity, you could start putting like your money where your mouth is and starting to do the work in order to reach those desires and, you know, reach those goals and those potentials that you've been hoping for. So a bit of like, not like a daydreamy month, but like, you know, where do I want to let those arrows go? You know, where do I want the big picture to be? Like, we were just talking before we started recording about like where we'd love to have, you know, some wonderful holidays. And it's like, you know, that can sometimes inspire you to do the work rather than getting stuck in a rut around the work. You know, having things to look forward to be hopeful for, to plan and prepare for, and to think, wow, like, let's go on this beautiful, like, outdoor hotel in Puerto Rico. Sure, like, let me do all of this work and get there, you know, like, it's like, where do I sign up to, you know, get started doing those sorts of things, right? You know, and I think that's the whole Jupiter piece this year is about, you know, staying true to the hope or the dream or the desire, the, you know, like those, not ambitions like Capricorn style, but what is the dream? What is the goal? What is the possibility? And this kind of, you know, Earth season now, Virgo, is going to help us get productive around making those things really happen. There's so many goals. I have Jupiter conjoin my ascendant, but at least we could like sort of, you know, like get a little bit practical. Okay, if we want to make this happen, what do we have to do? What's the XYZ to get there?
Yeah.
You know, chunking down or breaking down the big picture visions, which can be overwhelming, or like, oh, I could never do that, or I could never get there. And so, okay, well, Virgo says, here, let's start the list and I can help you get there. Like, and that's
let's
kind of
open a spreadsheet.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Excel, we're up and running. Let's do this budget or whatever it is, you know. Yes. And that's, And then
I know a Virgo moon who works a spreadsheet like no one on earth.
Oh, I need to borrow some Excel skills. But anyway, it's like, then all these Virgo planets are going to interact with Jupiter as they continue. So we will get that little bit, more of that injection of like, why are we doing this? The bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I think, milking Jupiter for all it's worth right now is, I don't know, in my opinion, kind of smart, because it may not be worth milking so much come December. So yeah, just go for it until then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, what? Yeah.
Jupiter's not gonna love Capricorn. Definitely not as juicy.
I mean, can the Australian dollar get any lower right now? Surely Jupiter in Capricorn can't bring it down any further.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yes.
Yes, I remember.
Kelly.
Remember 2008?
That's what I was going to say. Jupiter was in Capricorn last time. I mean, Jupiter is traditionally the planet of wealth. And so this is exactly what happened last time. 2007, Jupiter was in Sag, which is a good sign for Jupiter. And there is, there's growth, or there's hot air in the marketplace. There's positive. I'm not saying right now everyone has a positive outlook, but it's quite a change to have Jupiter go from Sag, where it's technically quite strong, and into Capricorn, where it's technically limited or restricted. There is that feeling of coming down from a high place. And because it is the planet of wealth and it's going into Capricorn, which is a sign of contraction, we will have contraction to do with finance and money. Now, sometimes when I say this, students will get very, very concerned. And I sort of think, well, if you're overextended in your personal finances, that is going to be a problem for you. But being overextended in your personal finances is a problem regardless. It's like with Jupiter going into Capricorn, it's when those chickens come home to roost. If the larger economy tightens, but you're in a position where you've been living within your means, or you have a savings buffer put aside, the larger economy can contract and you can continue as normal. So when we talk about money cycles, it's very much about the interaction between your personal situation and the larger economic climate, if you like.
Exactly, Kel. And the same happens in reverse. Like, all the experts might say, oh, this is a great time to buy, this is a great time to invest. But if you haven't got any money to do so, then it's not going to work either. So
it doesn't
matter. Exactly. Yeah. It's
So,
more like from a client or even business perspective, if you're looking to overstretch your finances right now, it's probably not the best time to do that.
No. It's time to be
conservative.
Yeah. And it's time to be, make hay while the sun shines. Make the most that you can, but not to spend it, to save it for a rainy day kind of stuff.
Take in the Jupiter goodness, but park it instead of just sending it straight back out. Or send a little bit of it out, but keep some of it for yourself, basically.
Totally.
Yeah.
But how good is Jupiter in Sag, though? Like,
I mean,
about it all the time.
Back to this week. Mercury trine Jupiter. I mean, it's lucrative deals. It's abundant alliances. Like, there is definitely going to be, and I would love our listeners to let us know via Facebook or YouTube, in the comment sections. Let us know what development or alliance or positive piece of news you are enjoying midweek as Mercury and Jupiter work together.
Connect, and especially if you've got those mutable angles, then these are the two planets that connect your whole chart are coming together under this, really exuberant and exciting fire trine. So there is that hope, action, progress, some movement around, the four angles of your chart.
Totally. So the mutable angles, just to clarify for people, would be the mutable signs of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And the angles are the ascendant and the midheaven. So if you've got mutable signs in those places, then this is a little bit more of an important aspect for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think we've got one final thing for the week, didn't we?
I'm loving how the Mercury Jupiter just kind of took over most of the episode, which is
that's very Jupiter, isn't it?
When somebody has it in their first house, I guess it kind of happens. So with that, I think we have a Mars-Venus aspect to talk about this week, don't we?
We do. And the thing, I'm laughing actually because really we've already talked about, Meghan Markle and her, because this is happening in Virgo. So it's like, I was thinking about Meghan Markle with her Venus in Virgo, but it's like what I always love about Venus-Mars aspects is how Mars warms Venus up, but Venus cools Mars down. So it's like this, I always think about it like the hostess with the mostess, who is elegant and refined and yet warm and encouraging to people too. So it feels like, sometimes Venus and Mars can be like heat between the sheets, but I don't really get that in Virgo. So it's more just like warming connections and like opening up and I guess being a bit more focused with things. So with all the energy that's with that. But yeah, I've got a few friends who have this exact thing in Virgo, and they're all crafters. Like they all do these amazing things with their hands. They're really focused and detailed. Like one guy's a whittler, and he does the most amazing. So there could
be some heat between the sheets there, Lishi.
Could there?
Well,
I mean, I think
I'm keeping it PG this week. I'm keeping it PG.
I'm just making the suggestion. I'm not saying anything.
Yes.
But no, they do very good, like, textiles or craftsmanship, the stuff that we sort of don't really see anymore. Like we don't really see really good quality shoes, like handmade or really fine fabrics that are that refined style,
that take real mastery and time, and that's that Virgo thing, because another one of my friends, she's an amazing, you wouldn't call her a sewer, like she creates these amazing styles that are one-off and unique. And I feel like, this is interesting with this as well, because this aspect happens quite close to a square with Uranus as well. And I know that's going into next week's episode, so I don't want to bring it up too much now, but it's like, it's like there is an electric part to this, or something a bit unusual or a bit different coming through with this aspect too. So sure. You guys got any quick thoughts on this?
Kel? I do think there's a little bit of friction in a good way, like a Venus and Mars. There is a subdued kind of maybe humble or gentle or just maybe practical quality, but it's still Venus and Mars coming together. So there's a little bit of heat, or a little bit of maybe intensity is not quite the right word, but there's a lot of focus, I think, here. And when you see it coming together like a conjunction, it can definitely talk about that sort of togetherness to do with getting closer to someone or getting closer to a project, like something is coming together, like pieces locking in or fitting together. So yeah, Venus, Mars together for Virgo, Saturday, Sunday, just depending on what time zone people are in. I think it's good for togetherness, if you like.
Yeah. It's a sense of like
there's an adventurous. There's an adventurousness to it, but it's like you kind of need a spreadsheet to get there.
Or we're having a plan. Like, there are people who travel by planning things, and there are people who travel like me by like just booking a plane ticket and going, or getting a hotel. Like, we'll just figure the rest out. That's not what this is. This is more like, we've done our research. This is the cleanest, nicest, best value hotel in the area. And these are the 3 activities that we're going to do there. That's Venus, Mars together. But there's going to be a real sense of, we got a lot out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cass, I spoke over you. What were you going to say, honey?
I can't really remember now. But yeah, like just, there's a sense of, togetherness, as you said, Kel, with a plan. Like, maybe where their opinions or ideas were a little bit at odds with each other. Now it's like, okay, we can make some kind of level of compromise and, making it work, where there wasn't a plan before, now we've got a little bit of structure. It doesn't mean that structure is locked down in stone. It's still mutable, changeable, and of course the Uranus component too. But, it's like, okay, we've got some type of system in place that we can then move forward together around.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I always love how Venus she softens Mars's sharp edges, and yet Mars adds an assertion to Venus's coolness too. So it's almost like what you're saying, Cass, of like you can assert the connections out there and go for them, but it's like that iron fist in a velvet glove kind of yeah, I'll go
Yeah.
for it, but I'll do it with charm and diplomacy.
Cool. Well, there are your highlights for the week, everybody. It's all about Virgo with a little bit of hope and inspiration thrown in. So quickly, have we got anything we want to announce or talk about coming up this week?
I would just say very quickly, if there are any beginner astrologers, like people who are new to astrology and trying to figure it out, my online course, which is called Practical Astrology, which is my intro 6-week training, is available for instant download via my website. So if you're new to astrology, that's a good starting place to get some solid grounding. But that's it from me for this week. What about you two?
Me, I've got a webinar coming up on Friday, Australian time, Thursday evening in the Northern Hemisphere. And it's an introduction to secondary progression. So all the details are on my website, cassandratyndall.com/events. Or if you subscribe to my newsletter, all of that will be there as well. And what about you, Lishi?
I'm still taking enrollments for my Foundations in Astrology course, so that'll be an online course for beginners as well, and that is starting September 18th. So that'll be on Wednesday mornings here in Australia, which will be Tuesday nights or afternoons and nights in the US. So, yep, if anyone wants to know more about that.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well,
Cool.
if you've enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to take a screenshot and tag us in your social medias and tell us what you got most out of this episode, what you enjoyed the most, or what tidbit of astro insight is really going to help you navigate this week. And we really look forward to connecting with you again for the updates next week. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.